Let's talk about all the different things that you can do to take care of your mind. I believe as human beings that we have the privilege and the responsibility to take care of ourselves, to take care of ourselves physically, but also to take care of our brains. We all have a beautiful brain, and there's just a lot of things we can do to take care of our mindset. Now, I've talked before about the things you can do to take care of your physical brain. Eating right, getting good rest, good sleep, being out in nature, getting exercise, good food. All of those things are important for your physical brain. But let's talk about our mindset. One of my family's favorite quotes, because we hear it so much from each other, is Henry Ford's quote. Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. That's how important your mindset is, what you believe, how you talk to yourself. I'm just going to assume that y'all talk to yourselves like I do. I talk to myself. And there's the old joke that you're only in trouble if you answer yourself. Well, I passed that mark a long time ago. I answer myself because I give myself the answers I want to hear. But again, we'll just assume you talk to yourself. You hear some sort of dialogue going on in your head, whether you hear it in your own voice, and a lot of us do hear our own voices just kind of making comments, a running commentary. Maybe it's a parent's voice or an old teacher, whatever. There's stuff going on in your head. And I heard somebody last week say, and I love this question, are you your biggest encourager or your biggest discourager? Ooh, that's a great question to think about. It's so good for us to have people that are cheerleaders or support team or encouragers, but it's up to us to be our own biggest encourager. And it's also pretty easy for us to be our own biggest discouragers. Most of us are pretty accustomed to thinking about physical hygiene, keeping ourselves clean and presentable. Well, we need to think about mental hygiene, which the word hygiene just makes me giggle. I think it's a weird word, so I don't like to use it. So I like to think of mental hygiene as brainwashing. And I know brainwashing has a whole different connotation, but for our purposes, brainwashing is keeping your mindset clean and effective, working for you. So let's think about the things that we can do to keep our minds clean and effective and strong. If you're trying to eat right, you don't eat a salad one day and say, all right, I've done my good eating for the month. That's all I need to do. No, we know, maybe we wish that would work, but it doesn't work like that. We need to eat healthy stuff pretty consistently. Well, it's the same thing with our brains. We need to feed our brains good information. We need to be sure that there's good stuff, good talk, positive, healthy talk going on in our brain. So Dr. Daniel Amen is a psychiatrist who's been in practice for decades. And one of the things he recommends is he calls them tiny habits. Now, I like thinking of it like that. Little things you do through the day to keep yourself in a good positive mindset. So one of the things he does, the very first thing he thinks about when he wakes up in the morning, he says, today's going to be a great day. All right, there you go. You're setting the tone for your day. Because do you know what happens when you start your day saying, today's going to be a great day? Well, you look for things to make it a great day. If you've bought a car, let's say you bought a blue car, well, all of a sudden you bring your car home in the driveway and then you take it back out and you're looking around going, oh my gosh, I never knew there were so many blue cars. It's because you've started paying attention to it. Well, we do the same thing with the words we're thinking and how we're preparing our brains and what we're looking for. I think of it this way, that what we focus on flourishes. So what we prepare our brain to look for, we're going to go out and we're going to look for those things. So if we start our day with saying, today's going to be a great day, we'll go look for the things to make it a great day instead of, oh, today's going to be gross and yuck. Another thing you can do is to just be grateful. You know, if you ever hear Oprah, she talks about having a gratitude journal to write down 3 or 5 or 10 or however many things at night. Now, write the things you're grateful for during your day. Well, you can do that at any point in your day, in the morning, in the middle of the day, at night, all through the day. Write down the things that you're grateful for, because again, when you start paying attention to the things you're grateful for, guess what? You're going to notice even more things to be grateful for. And I believe that when we have that attitude of just being grateful for our life, even if it's hard, we can still find something to be grateful for. Well, that just calls in more into our life, and it helps our overall attitude, and we start to live the life we want to live. So another way to think about what we focus on flourishes. When you're phrasing something in your brain, don't say don't. Because we have to think about the thing we're saying don't think about. Like if I tell you don't think about a pink elephant, well, what do you have to do? You have to think about a pink elephant to then try and not think about the pink elephant. So when you're talking to yourself and thinking about things, or as a parent, if you've had to parent or work with small children, don't tell them don't do that, because they get focused on the that, not the don't. So there you go. Focus on the positive. It's just another reason why to do that. So when people are thinking about positive thinking and positive psychology and just being a positive person, I don't think it's a Pollyanna kind of thing to do. I think it makes me more effective, because I'm not looking at some pie in the sky, unattainable way of life or way of thinking. I naturally want, I want good stuff. I'm kind of selfish that way. I think we all are. We want good things to happen to us and to happen to those that we love. So focusing on the positive really helps direct us and bring in more energy and get us focused on the goal that we're heading towards, whatever it is, whether it's a career goal, if it's a personal goal. Focusing on that in a positive way just brings better, more effective, impactful energy. Other things that we can do to help our mindset: prayer, meditation, breathing, just calmly doing some deep breathing. Some people respond better to thinking about it as meditation rather than prayer, but talking to God, talking to higher power, universal energy, whatever works for you, however you want to think about it, that really helps with our mindset. It helps calm us. It helps take our attention off of ourselves and put it out into a broader spectrum. So that is so helpful. Other things, I love laughter. Laughter, humor, that helps with your mindset. It lightens and brightens the mood. Touch, hugs, comfort. If you live alone right now, you may have trouble finding people who are willing to hug you, given that we're all supposed to be physically distant from each other to keep the spread of the coronavirus down. But if we can't physically hug, we can still maintain relationships. And relationships, oh my goodness, they're so important. Different people are having different struggles while we're staying socially distant and working from home and doing everything that we possibly can from home. People who are introverts, I think the first couple of weeks were probably like, whoa, I have prepared my whole life to do this and stay at home and not be out and about. but it's starting to wear and be stressful on a lot of people because we're not just socially, physically distancing ourselves, we're becoming very isolated. So, in particular, if you're feeling isolated, whether it's during this coronavirus time or not, if you're feeling isolated, don't be afraid to reach out to somebody. Whether you reach out and say, "Hey, how you doing?" or "Hey, I could use a little bit of help," or "Can we talk? You got a few minutes?" Whether you call them on the phone or send them a text or a message, whatever you do, reach out. Now, if you're not comfortable asking for help or somebody to listen, who can you help? Who can you just reach out to and say, "Hey, I was thinking of you. How are things?" Often when we need to kind of switch our mindset up, it's so good to take an action instead of sitting and dwelling in inaction and dwelling on a thought or many thoughts that are holding us back. I was just looking at a study where molecular scientists have shown that stress, particular types of stress and repeated patterns of stress, actually affect our chromosomes. So stress and anxious thinking, stressed thinking, harmful, ineffective mindsets affect us physically. They stress us, they shorten our lifespan, they cause physical damage. So it's not just a matter of taking care of our minds just so, we're happier and we think better. Our minds impact our physical bodies. It's all tied together. You can't really separate your physical body from your mental health. This is definitely not an all-inclusive list of everything you can do to improve your mindset. And you don't need to do all of these things every day. But some days you might. Some days you might need to do everything that I've mentioned many, many times. And we're human. This is what life is like. Some days are pretty smooth sailing, and other days we just need a little extra attention. So that's the kind of thing that we have to do with our minds, with our brainwashing. We do it as often as it takes. Back to one of my favorite Bill Murray quotes, be the best you can be as much as you can. So, peace and love, my friends. Thanks for watching. If you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, I'd love for you to. And be sure to click the bell to get notifications for the new videos.